You scared?
Oh, the BloodRayne series. It's one of my favorite games series despite not being as well known. When it comes to games involving demons and gothic settings, games like Castlevania, Legacy of Kain, and the Devil May Cry series are the usual ones that come to mind, so it's not surprising why BloodRayne got overshadowed at the time it came out. However, I still think the series is worth talking about. Well, at least from someone like me, who's into the gothic and macabre. BloodRayne was released in 2001 for the PlayStation 2, Xbox, and GameCube. It was developed by Terminal Reality, a company that is now sadly defunct as of 2013. BloodRayne received mixed to positive reviews. I'll be reviewing the PS2 port. So what do I think about the game? Well, let's find out. The story follows a half-vampire known as a Dhampir named Rayne, who's on a mission to hunt down and kill her vampire father who raped and murdered her human mother and her entire family. Along the way, she gets recruited by the Brimstone Society, an organization that works to protect humanity from supernatural threats. It's pretty much the more extreme version of the Men in Black. The game's story is broken down into 3 acts, which consist of Morden, Louisiana set in 1933, Argentina set in 1938, and Castle Gustad in Germany set in the same year. Along the way, Rayne's accompanied by her friend and mentor, Mintz, another fellow Dhampir, and on the journey, Rayne encounters enemies ranging from demonic bugs, zombies, Nazi soldiers, and feral demons. The story is pretty decent all things considered, short and simple to follow. I personally enjoyed it for the most part. The graphics for this game are okay. Nothing groundbreaking by any means, but not bad. As far as character models go, they're passable. Rayne and Mintz's models look pretty good for the PS2. But in saying that, some of the renders for the creatures like the zombies for example, look pretty muddled and low res. And there's a bit of clipping issues in some areas, but it's understandable as it's just something that games tend to have. The CGI cutscenes look great for their time, but I have to be honest, Rayne's face looks a little rough around the edges. But everything else from her hair down to the texture on her outfit look beautifully rendered. Rayne as a character is pretty cool. She's one of my all-time favorite heroines in gaming, but she can be a tad snarky, which could turn off some players. Nevertheless, I personally enjoyed her character. I feel that the game definitely excels in the level design, ranging from the murky outback of the Louisiana bayou to the rural gothic architect of Germany. I really enjoyed taking in the scenery. However, I have to admit that when it came to Germany, I found it very hard to see things because the lighting was so dark in a lot of areas. This became a big problem when it came to crossing over huge gaps because the ground would blend into the darkness, which would cause many annoying deaths. Another annoying thing was the camera. The camera would get stuck on walls, and this is especially irritating when you're going up spiral stairwells or when you're investigating small rooms. The camera just goes berserk, and I don't think I have to tell you how annoying it is when you have to fight a game's camera. The music in this game is pretty good. Not amazing, but not bad. The music definitely fits the atmosphere of the game, as it provides dark ambience mixed with some techno-industrial. My favorite song in the game is the one that plays when you're hunting down the Nazi officers in Argentina. It really gets you pumped and ready to kick some Nazi ass. The voice acting is also pretty good. Rayne is voiced by the talented Laura Bailey. She's best known for her roles such as Les from Fullmetal Alchemist, Maka from Soul Eater, Young Trunks from the Dragon Ball Z series, and Anko from Naruto, just to name a few. Really, she's done so many different voices, and she's personally one of my all-time favorite voice actors in the voice acting industry. Her voice for Rayne fits the character naturally.
Voodoo ritual to awaken the mother of the underworld. Either she's a smoker, or someone was just here.
Admittedly, she does come off a bit stiff, but overall a good performance. All the other voice acting is decent for the most part. I especially enjoyed hearing the conversations between Rayne and Mintz, as they just meshed so well together.
Damn bloodsuckers.
Careful with your relatives.
They should have more sense. Thanks for dragging me out here. I just love the water.
You're only half vampire. A dip might hurt, but it won't kill you.
So does sticking a finger in my eye doesn't mean I have to do it.
The gameplay for BloodRayne is that of a typical hack-and-slash action game. Rayne's main weapon of choice are her twin arm blades, used for slicing and hacking at enemies. She also has a wrist harpoon, which she can use from a distance to pull in enemies. Being half vampire, she's able to feed upon her victims to replenish her health. Keep in mind though, she can only feed on human-type enemies. She can also jump pretty damn high, which is pretty cool. Rayne can also use the spiral kick to break down weakly built doors and walls to access other areas in the buildings. As for special abilities, Rayne has her aura vision, which is useful for locating points of interest such as rooms, buildings, items, enemies, etc. Though I wouldn't recommend staying in aura vision for too long because the blurriness and distortion can really irritate your eyes, at least in my experience. Rayne also has a dilate perception ability. This ability allows Rayne to slow down time, which can be pretty useful when fighting stronger enemies. Rayne's last and most deadly ability is her Blood Rage ability. When entering Blood Rage, Rayne's attacks are insanely enhanced, allowing for one-hit kills on weaker enemies while giving substantial damage to bosses. But Blood Rage only lasts for a short while, however, you're able to build up the rage meter by fighting enemies. Rayne controls okay, as she moves in a strafe-like fashion, and she had decent running speed. However, I hated, and I mean hated, how you had to use the L1 button to use standard attacks. I mean really, who thought this was a good idea? Thankfully, they fixed that in BloodRayne 2, because I'm telling you, when it comes to hack and slash games, you don't want to have L1 or R1 as your main attack buttons because it just feels so uncomfortable. There aren't many items to find in this game, as it follows the standard point A to point B formula. You'll only be looking for key items that will help further you in a level, such as battery packs and explosives. You can also pick up different kinds of guns from fallen Nazi enemies, which really come in handy for dealing with hordes of enemies. The enemies in this game aren't too difficult. The only time it gets a little hectic is when you're going up against more than 3 enemies at a time, especially when it comes to the feral vampires, yikes. And since the game doesn't have an auto-target feature, it can get pretty messy. But for the most part, the enemies aren't too difficult to handle. Now, the boss battles in this game are fairly challenging. You have the Queen of the Underworld, Von Blut, Commando, the Butcheress, Mauler, Hedrox, and the Doppelganger twins. Each boss provided some sort of obstacle you had to work around in order to defeat them. And I have to say, I really enjoyed that. The final boss battle between Belier and Jurgen was frustrating but challenging nonetheless. Seriously, the first time I played this game, I lost so many damn times that I nearly rage quitted and wanted to give up. But in the end, I pushed through and finally managed to defeat them. So yeah, the boss battles are pretty good in this game. So does the game have any replay value? Honestly, I have to say no. It's pretty much a one and done game in my opinion, as you really only play for the story as there aren't any unlockables to be unlocked at the end of the game. In fact, looking back at it, the game is pretty short. All in all, despite the length of the game, I still did find myself enjoying it despite a few annoying parts. To be honest, I played BloodRayne 2 before I played the first BloodRayne, and that was back in 2005. I didn't play the first BloodRayne until about 2014, so I had to really adjust myself to the more limited controls. But hey, it was the first game in the series, and as they say, we'll have to start somewhere, you know? And yeah, this game does have some slight sexual undertones. Need I say more? But in saying that, the game really isn't that pondering compared to other games out there. Would I recommend this game? Well, it really depends. If you're a person who doesn't mind playing older games or you like vampires, I would definitely recommend trying the game out for yourself, as you can find it on eBay and the PlayStation Network for pretty cheap these days. But if not, I personally skip this one, or at the very least rent it. That all said, I give BloodRayne a solid 6 out of 10. It's not an awful game, and like I mentioned earlier, I really like the tone and atmosphere of the game, but it doesn't have any replay value, and it's pretty short in length. So it's hard for me to recommend it unless you're into playing older games. And well, that concludes my review for BloodRayne. Please stay tuned for my review of BloodRayne 2 coming soon. Hey everyone, thanks for watching this video. Please give a like and subscribe if you'd like to see more content, as it really helps this channel out a lot. If you'd like to get a hold of me, feel free to check the links down below, as I love meeting new people. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. See ya!